One of the risks, corruption risks we identified through research we carried out in 2016 was the fact that the community awareness and participation in processes during the licensing process, including environmental impact assessment, was really low. And this therefore meant that they were not part of the decision-making, or they were largely left out of the decision-making, and this was largely done by government officials or a few selected individuals that had knowledge. So this then meant that the community was caught unawares, or decisions were made for them that decisions were not necessarily comfortable with. So and some of those decisions were could have been deals that were not as transparent as it should have been, and such situations ordinarily mean that there's room for corruption to take place. Some of the interventions that we're doing in Kwale County obviously include creating awareness among community members on how to engage with the various processes. Currently, one of the key processes that has taken center stage is that of developing community development agreements, which then allow them to have a say over what they do with their royalties. So we have created this multi-stakeholder working groups that look into this. They're made up of civil society organizations, community members, government, and industry. In a bid to have everybody on the table agreeing on a workable formula for the community development agreements. Then the other thing we're also looking at is how to monitor the environmental impact assessment, how to monitor the mitigation that the company committed to. And again, we're doing this through that multi-stakeholder engagement, which then puts the community at the center of managing how the mining is being done within their community. We've had in these sessions, in the working groups where we have all these groups come together, we've had the community raise concerns that are directly addressed either by government or by the industry, and that has improved relations between the community and the industry. We've also had government, validate this as one of a lasting or a more sustainable approach to addressing issues within mining communities or between mining communities, government, and industry. So, that has shown that it's something that can be sustainable in the long run and can be replicated in other areas where mining is coming up. And testing it out and seeing it work makes us proud and happy that it's a solution that can be replicated elsewhere.
We assessed licensing process in 2017, and we found out that many shell companies and speculators able to easily obtain mining licenses. So this is because Mongolia, like many countries, doesn't conduct a proper background checks or due diligence process. As Mongolia, the part of member countries of the Extractive Industry Transparency Initiative, which means already committed to disclose beneficial ownership information. So our duty is to making sure this will happen properly. So we cooperate with the relevant government agencies such as Taxation Office, Registration Office, and we also get support from Mongolian Anti-Corruption Agency. So disclosure is one thing, only first step. We also need to making sure that use this data, and we recently conducted beneficiary ownership screening tool assessment, which developed by our project's global team to see where we are in the practice or in the legislation compared to the other countries. This year, Mongolian government started to ask and disclose beneficiary information from the mining companies. Also, they recently announced that they will require also the other companies, which is not directly related to mining companies, but we see this as a good opportunity for us, because also the supplier company is bio-information also very crucial to our work. And we also included official working group established by mining minister himself that will draft a new law on transparency, extractive industry transparency law. So we are hoping to aim with this, so our global expertise in this law.
Well, our work is supported by the BHP Foundation and the Australian Government. More broadly, I think it's really important for donors to know that in this space, tackling corruption takes time. It's very complex. There are a lot of different actors. So being mindful and appreciative of the fact that it will be a longer process is really important for donors wanting to make a difference. The thing that donors can do that's really critical is to empower local civil society. Civil society plays an important role in being a monitor, an accountability actor, and to bring to the fore the public interest. There are 3 things donors can do. Firstly, protect our rights. It can be incredibly risky to work on fighting corruption in many parts of the world. So to the extent to which governments and donors in particular can be liaising with governments, companies and other influential actors to protect the civic space and our rights to talk and speak out about these issues will be incredibly important. The second thing that they can do is to help us get access. We have great technical knowledge, we have engagement with communities on the ground, but to transform that information and insight into practical policy changes and changes within companies, we need help to access those decision makers. Donors through local embassies can help us by being a convener and a broker to get access to those spaces. And finally, endorse our work. Endorse publicly, be vocal about why it's important to combat corruption, why transparency and accountability in the extractive space is so important. This not only brings light to the issue, it also lends us credibility so that when we are saying these kinds of messages, that influential players who have the power to make a real difference sit up and listen to us.